Greetings, welcome to In-Depth. I'm Dike Rostant. The Ministry of Youth Development and National Service is doing the most right now in terms of project rollouts. Now we are able to discuss the project trending and a partnership with YTEPP a bit earlier to provide certified training. Now on tap is the Youth Agricultural Homestead Programme and more. And we are joined by Program Coordinator at the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service, Gachelle Gilkes-Edwards, and Manager of Corporate Communications at MyDNS, Ms. Jaye-Anne Figaro-Mc Donald. Welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to start with you, please, Ms. Gilkes-Edwards. And I can imagine people saying it's what a time it is to be a youth in Trinidad and Tobago, looking at the rollouts that are taking place. What are some of the feedback that the ministry is getting to some of those rollouts under your purview?
So thanks very much for that question, DK, because the ministry has been getting an overwhelming response to all of our programs, especially the Youth Agricultural Homestead Programme. We launched that program in June of this year, and we got 1,400 applications. And many persons outside of that also expressed an interest, but indicated that they are unable to participate on a full-time basis. So our program inducted 200 persons out of the 1,400, and we also indicated to all of those persons who have not been enrolled that they can try again, because this program is a 3-year program. It will take 3 cohorts. So cohort 1 is currently in progress, and we have 2 additional cohorts to take on board.
And with that, I want to throw it to you, please, Ms. Figaro-Mc Donald, because looking at the fact from 1,400 to 200, and then you see that there's a gap, or there's a need. People are interested and trying to engage. But what's the importance of actually engaging youth as co-creators of these sorts of sustainable development initiatives?
Yes, Ziki. Well, in the field of youth development, we speak about co-creators in sustainable development because we see the need to engage our young people. We see them as people who have valuable contributions to make. Therefore, all our programs are guided by what the youth want. And as Ms. Gilkes-Edwards mentioned earlier, it shows in terms of the numbers of people willing to participate. So that really entails us looking at the 8 pillars of our national youth policy, which was developed with young people. Between 2019 and 2020, we went out to communities, we went out to young people, we did surveys, interviews, we had focus groups to find out what young people want to see in the youth development landscape. And through this, 8 major themes emerged. And these 8 major themes emerged. And these themes started to cover issues like youth being able to contribute to the economy, climate change, participation in government, and so much more. So when our ministry rolls out programs and projects, it is because we are using what the youth have told us to develop these programs. And this is why we have that overwhelming response each and every time.
And I really appreciate the fact that you have people with skin in the game now, because they've put in their piece and saying, okay, well, these are some of the things that we want to see. These are some of the things that we want to learn, as opposed to the ministry spend a pound and a crown, and then they have people, well, I don't want that. But looking at the partnerships, though, how important is it to have partnerships? Because these things, they will not be cheap. These things, they will take a lot of energy, a lot of know-how. So like even when we had the conversation with YTEPP, looking at the fact that MyDNS doesn't have to go into becoming a body that can certify people because you have partners for that. Who are some of the partners that you're working with, Ms. Gilkes-Edwards, and to what end?
So some of the partners that we are working with to serve the needs of this large population that Jaye-Anne is speaking about. And I would like to add one thing on that note. The youth of Trinidad and Tobago before would have been persons between the ages of 15 to 29. We saw it fit to expand that grouping. So we went younger, And we are now considering persons from 10 years of age, and we went even older, and we are considering persons up to 35 years of age. So this is about 500,000 persons within our population. This is a large population that we are serving. So we have decided that we will partner with some of these strategic and key organizations within our country to certify these young persons. And you've mentioned MIC. We've also partnered with the University of Trinidad and Tobago, specifically for the Youth Agricultural Homestead Programme. And we've also partnered with the University of the West Indies for the delivery of other programs that we have on board.
And give me a little more information about that, thank you, in terms of like that partnership. How do you go about saying, okay, well, we want to partner with this person? What are you looking for in order to fill that need, in order to get things done?
So it is a whole of government approach. So we have recognized that we have many institutions within our landscape that have the capability to certify these young persons with the skill sets to respond to what we need in our society right now. So we would sit as a team and we would review all of the various programs that they are offering and have conversations with them so that they can submit proposals tailored to meet the needs that we have identified in our programs. And once we see an excellent synergy in terms of their skill sets and capacities to offer these accredited programs so that these young people can matriculate, we will then engage these specific organizations to provide us with that particular component, that training component. Now, we also recognize that outside of the theoretical part of it, we also have practical elements. So in some instances, we have like the Youth Agricultural Homestead Programme, we have an extended version which allows us to engage other entities such as the Ministry of Agriculture, NEDCO, Kariri, the Agriculture Development Bank, and so forth, to ensure that we provide all of these young persons with a comprehensive training with all of the necessary networks, so that when they are now on their way to becoming job creators and when they're on their way to becoming entrepreneurs, we would have given them a full opportunity to both the certification and the practicality in terms of getting the necessary additional services that will require them to become successful co-creators.
And I really appreciate that in the sense that sometimes it feels as though there's a disconnect. So you go through a process, you're part of a cohort, and it sometimes is that you either have a piece of paper that you can wave at people and say, look, I have this, or you have the skills, you have the competence. But being able to match that, because many times people want a mix of both, and then you have that chicken or the egg. Do you get experience first, or do you get that theoretical accreditation first? So I really appreciate the fact that this is something that my DNS is actually taking into consideration and organizing, and dealing with it on a holistic sort of basis. But we continue the conversation when we return from the break, ladies. We are speaking about things that are taking place with the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service. Stay with us. We return with more. Welcome back. We are speaking with Program Coordinator Gachelle Gilkes-Edwards, as well as Ms. Jaye-Anne Figaro-Mc Donald, the Corporate Communications Manager at the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service. And ladies, we've mentioned the Youth Agricultural Homestead Programme a few times, but break it down for me, please, Ms. Figaro-Mc Donald, in the sense that what is that initiative? And I think we'll even get into the Shade House as well.
So the Youth Agricultural Homestead Programme, we refer to it as YTEPP at the ministry, is a program for young people between 18 and 35 years old that encourages them to become 21st century farmers. What we mean by that is that it's a 2-year training program where you have training in crop production and animal husbandry. When we started this program, 200 people were enrolled in the first cohort, and they have since started their training with the University of Trinidad and Tobago. And on successful completion of their second year, they will be assigned to land where they would be able to put the skills that they have learned to use and become agro entrepreneurs. So they would move from young people who have an interest in farming now and agriculture now to being agro entrepreneurs who are now land leaseholders. But I am certain that Ms. Gilkes-Edwards could give even more detail about what this program is about.
Please, because I want to know what's the difference between a 19th century farmer and a 21st century farmer as well.
So what I will say is that the big variation in this project, the distinguishing factor in this project, is that young persons are going to be given an opportunity of a lifetime. As the program coordinator, I have not been able to find a program anywhere, regionally or internationally, of this nature, where these young persons are being trained and then they're given an opportunity to acquire 2 acres of land and a starter home to begin their pursuits in agriculture. And this program is really near and dear to me, near and dear to the ministry as a whole, because the government of Trinidad and Tobago, and by extension, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, they are definitely making a significant investment. And I always remind these young persons of this, making a significant investment in these young persons to ensure that we can move towards food security, and they are given the opportunity to learn skills and techniques that will ensure that they can now meet the demands of the climate change.
And in terms of, and I want you to underline that for me once more, please, because it is one thing to say, okay, well, yes, the government of Trinidad and Tobago is making an investment, but many times you have one thing, or you may be on a piece of land versus being given the opportunity for leasing. And this is something that we have older traditional farmers who have been in the business and in the industry for so long actually talking about, well, this is one of the things that they are asking people to champion them for, or they're advocating for. But you're getting the land, you're getting the training, you're getting what else is there? Because I think there's also a stipend attached to it, so you're earning while learning.
So yes, so during their training, these young persons are getting a stipend. But one of the most important elements that you did not include is the starter home. This is a homestead program. So recognizing that these young persons will be situated on the land, we are giving them a basic starter home so that they can be present on site while they are doing their agriculture. And one of the major components of this particular homestead program is our model farm. On this model farm, we will be able to provide them with additional extension services. So we will be able to provide them outside of the land preparation, outside of the land that the actual 2 acres that they are getting. They will also have persons on site who will be near with them, holding their hand to ensure that they give them the additional support and the additional guidance that they require to really meet the need that they are tasked with to ensure that we as a country can become food secure. So they will have machinery and expertise on site. They will have our M&E personnel who is going to ensure that they do live up to the requirements of this 30-year lease that they are going to be granted with once they successfully complete the previous components. And we will also be ensuring that they have access to marketing and market intelligence to ensure that they are actually creating and producing what is required in the economy and not things that are not required. And
that brings the question to bear in terms of like that monitoring and evaluation that you would have spoken about. One, I wanted to ask, so how do people make sure that, yes, they're doing what it is they're supposed to be doing? And also, is there a specific type of thing that they're learning to grow, learning to farm? Is it small ruminants? Is it vines? Is it what is being grown? What are they being trained to deal with?
So, as Mrs. McDonald would have indicated, it is both crop production and animal husbandry, and they also have agro-processing taking place where they can add to the agriculture value chain and ensure that their products can actually reach on shelves if they so desire. But you asked a very important question. You were asking me, what are they going to be growing? That is the reason why Dike, that we are partnering with these key agencies so that they can provide us with that intel, that market intelligence to guide these young persons to ensure that they are actually meeting the need of what is required in the markets. We have a very flexible market, and we need to ensure that we reduce our food import bill. We need to ensure that we increase our nutritional intake, and the persons who are key in the background ensuring that this information comes to the fore will be the members of our program coordinating committee, which is a committee that is used to guide all of our youth in agriculture initiatives. And these persons are representatives of all these various stakeholder agencies that we would have listed before, and they are on board to ensure that we, in a timely fashion and in an efficient fashion, respond to the needs of the market.
And in terms of those sorts of responses, Ms. Figaro-Mc Donald, answer the person who said that they missed out on this opportunity. Is there more work in the pipeline? Is there work that can be a little different, slightly nuanced? How do people interact and say, okay, well, these are the feelings that we have, these are the things that we're looking forward to? How do they reach you?
So one of the things that makes our ministry unique is that we have district offices across the country, so that persons in their own districts can easily contact these youth development officers to ask and to lobby for programs that they think are relevant to them. In addition to that, we also partner with many agencies. So if people are interested in having something started, we could also give technical support when it comes to that area. So they can reach out to us very easily. We're also, of course, we're the Ministry of Youth Development. So our social media pages are very active. Our website is very interactive as well, where anyone could send questions in. So it is something that we like to encourage, that interaction, that co-creation, both on the community level, and we have the added help of social media to assist in us responding to the needs of young people.
So we want to thank you so much, Jaye-Anne Figaro-Mc Donald, Manager Corporate Communications, as well as Gachelle Gilkes-Edwards, Program Coordinator at the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service, doing great things. And the fact that you've opened that net in terms of the people that you cater to. We didn't talk about what it is you're doing from 10 to that 18 yet, but hopefully that's another conversation. But thank you once more, ladies, on behalf of the ministry, the work that you're doing, and on behalf of our entire news team. I'm Dike Rostant. This has been In Depth with me. Thank you so much for joining us.